Okay, we're reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we're on a chapter called The Master and Narendra. Now, Narendra became Swami Vivekananda, eventually. If those of you on Zoom, if you're following along, we're on page 721, about halfway down the page. At 5 o'clock, the younger Naren was ready to go home. Sri Ramakrishna stood by his side on the northeast veranda and gave him various instructions. Then the boy saluted the master and departed. Many of the devotees also took their leave. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the small couch talking to Mohini. Mohini's wife was almost mad with grief on account of her son's death. Now, I think we've said before, Mohini is another name for M, the writer of the Gospel. Sometimes she laughed and sometimes she wept, but she felt peaceful in Sri Ramakrishna's presence. Master, how is your wife now? Mohini, she becomes quiet whenever she is here, but sometimes at home she becomes very wild. The other day she was going to kill herself. When Sri Ramakrishna heard this, he appeared worried. Mohini said to him humbly, "Please give her a few words of advice. Master, don't allow her to cook. The heat that will heat her brain all the more, and keep her in the company of others so that they may watch her." It was dusk. Preparations were going on in the temples for the evening worship. The lamp was lighted in the master's room and incense was burnt. Seated on the small couch, Sri Ramakrishna saluted the Divine Mother and chanted her name in a tender voice. There was nobody in the room except M, who was sitting on the floor. Sri Ramakrishna rose from the couch. M also stood up. The master asked him to shut the west and north doors of the room. M obeyed and stood by Sri Ramakrishna on the porch. The master said he wanted to go to the Kali temple. Leaning on M's arm, he came down to the terrace of the temple. He asked M to call Baburam and sat down. After visiting the Divine Mother, the master returned to his room across the court chanting, "O Mother, Mother, Raja Rajeshwari." Sri Ramakrishna entered his room and sat on the small couch. He had been passing through an extraordinary state of mind. He could not touch any metal. He had said a few days before, "It seems that the Divine Mother has been removing from my mind all ideas of possession." He had been eating from plantain leaves and drinking water from an earthenware tumbler. He could not touch a metal jar, so he had asked his devotees to get a few earthen jars for him. If he touched metal plates or pots, his hand ached as if stung by a horned fish. Prasanna had brought a few earthen pots, but they were very small. The master said with a smile, "These pots are too small, but he is a nice boy. Once I asked him to take off his clothes and he stood naked in front of me. What a child he is." Sri Ramakrishna used to judge the character of everyone by their physique, by their mental makeup, by their actions. He looked at every aspect of their physique and their demeanor, their head shape, their eyes, everything had a meaning, and told him what kind of a person they were. Tarak of Bulgaria arrived with a friend and bowed low before Sri Ramakrishna, who was sitting on the small couch. The room was lighted by an oil lamp. A few devotees were sitting on the floor. Tarak was about 20 years old and married. Now, he later became Swami Shivananda. His parents did not allow him to come to Sri Ramakrishna. He lived mostly at his home near Bobazar. The master was very fond of him. Tarak's friend had a tamasic nature. He rather scoffed at the master and religious ideas in general. Master to Tarak's friend, why don't you go and visit the temples? Friend, oh, I've seen them before. Master, is it wrong for Tarak to come here? Friend, you know best. Master pointing to M, he's a headmaster. Friend, oh. Sri Ramakrishna asked about Tarak's health and talked with him at length. Tarak was ready to leave. Sri Ramakrishna asked him to be careful of many things. Master, my good man, beware. Beware of lust and greed. Once you sink in the maya of lust, you will not be able to rise. It is the whirlpool of the Vishalakshi, and it's a stream near Kamarpukur. He who has fallen into it cannot pull himself out again. Come here now and then. Tarak, my people at home don't let me. Master, a devotee. Suppose someone's mother says to him, don't go to Dakshineshwar. Suppose she curses him, saying, if you go there, you will be drinking my blood. Master, a mother who says that is no mother. She is the embodiment of avidya, ignorance. There is no sin in disobeying such a mother. She obstructs her son's path to God. There is no harm in disobeying your elders for the sake of God. For Rama's sake, Bharat did not obey his mother Kaikeyi. The gopis did not obey their husbands when they were forbidden to visit Krishna. Prahlada disobeyed his father for God. Vali disregarded the words of Shukracharya, his teacher, in order to please God. Bibhishana went against the wishes of Ravana, his older brother, to please Rama. But you must obey your elders in all other things. Let me see your hand. He's checking the palm now in the hand. Sri Ramakrishna took Tarak's hand into his own and seemed to feel its weight. A few moments later he said, there is a little crookedness in your mind, but that will go. Pray to God a little and come here now and then. Yes, that twist will go. Is it you that have hired the house at Bobasar? Tarak, not I, sir, my parents. Master smiling, they or you? Is it because you are afraid of the tiger? Tarak had a young wife. Did the master mean that a woman is like a tiger to a man? Tarak saluted Sri Ramakrishna and took his leave. The master lay down on the small couch. He seemed worried about Tarak. Suddenly he said to M, why do I worry so much about these young boys? M kept still. He was thinking over a reply. The master asked him, why don't you speak? Mohini's wife entered the room and sat at one side. That's M's wife. Sri Ramakrishna spoke to M about Tarak's friend. Master, why did Tarak bring that fellow with him? M, perhaps he wanted a companion for the road. It is a long way from Calcutta, so he brought a friend with him. The master suddenly addressed Mohini's wife and said, by unnatural death, one becomes an evil spirit. Beware. Make it clear to your mind. Is this what you have come to after hearing and seeing so much? Mohini was about to take his leave. He saluted Sri Ramakrishna. His wife also saluted the master, who stood near the north door of the room. Mohini's wife spoke to him in a whisper. Master, do you want to stay here? Mohini's wife. Yes, I want to spend a few days with the Holy Mother at the Nahabat. May I? Master, that will be all right, but you talk of dying. That frightens me, and the Ganges is so near. And that's the end of that day in that chapter. So now we are on chapter 38, if there are no questions or comments about what we just finished. I'm sorry? Oh. Yes, that's what he was talking about, I believe, because Mohini's wife had talked about killing herself, and he was trying to comfort her and discourage her from thinking that way. Yeah. Okay. So we're now on chapter 38, with the devotees in Calcutta. March 11th, 1885. On the morning of Wednesday, March 11th, Sri Ramakrishna and some of his disciples visited Balaram Boshe's house. Balaram was indeed blessed among the householder disciples of the Master. Sri Ramakrishna often described him as a rasadar, or supplier of stores, appointed by the Divine Mother to take care of his physical needs. Balaram's house in Calcutta had been sanctified many times by the Master's presence. There he frequently lost himself in samadhi, dancing, singing, or talking about God. Those of the Master's disciples and devotees who could not go to Dakshineshwar visited him there and received his instruction. He often asked Balaram to invite young disciples such as Rakhal, Bhavanat, and Narendra to his house, saying, These pure souls are the veritable manifestations of God. To feed them is to feed God himself, divine attributes. By serving them, you will be serving God. And so it happened that whenever the Master was at Balaram's house, the devotees would gather there. It was the Master's chief vineyard in Calcutta. It was here that the devotees came to know each other intimately. M taught in a school in the neighborhood. He often brought his young students to visit the Master at Balaram's house. On this day, having learnt of Sri Ramakrishna's arrival, M went there at noon during the recess hour of the school. He found the Master resting in the drawing room after his midday meal. Several young boys were in the room. M prostrated himself before the Master and sat by his side. Master tenderly, How could you come now? Have you no schoolwork? M, I have come directly from school. Just now I have no important work to do. A devotee, No, sir, he is playing truant today. All laughed. M said to himself, Alas, it is indeed as if some invisible power had drawn me here. The Master, looking a little thoughtful, asked M to come nearer. He said, Please wring out my wet towel and put my coat in the sun. Then he continued, My legs and feet ache. Please rub them gently. M felt very happy to be given the privilege of rendering these services to the Master. Sri Ramakrishna said to M, Can you tell me why I've been feeling like this the past few days? It is impossible for me to touch any metal. When I touch a metal cup, I felt as if I had been stung by a horned fish. There was an excruciating pain all over my arm, but I must use a brass water jar, so I tried to carry it by covering it with my towel. But the moment I touched the jar, I felt the same acute pain in my arm. It was unbearable pain. At last I prayed to the Divine Mother, O Mother, I shall never do it again. Please forgive me this time. The younger Naran often visits me. Do you think his people at home will object? He's very pure and doesn't know what carnal pleasure is. M, he is a large receptacle. Master, that is true. Further, he says he remembers spiritual things after hearing them once only. He told me, I used to weep in my boyhood because I couldn't see God. The Master and M were thus talking about the young devotee when someone reminded M of his school. Master, what is the time now? A devotee, it is 10 minutes to 1. Master to M, you'd better go now. It is getting late for you. You have left your duties. And to Latu, who is one of his disciples, "Where is Rakal?" Latu, "He has gone home." Master, "What? Has he gone away without seeing me?" After school hours, M returned to Balaram's house and found the master sitting in the drawing room, surrounded by his devotees and disciples. Among them were Girish, Suresh, Balaram, Latu, and Chunilal. The master's face was beaming with a sweet smile, which was reflected in the happy faces of those in the room. M was asked to take a seat by the master's side. Master to Girish, "You had better argue this point with Narendra and see what he has to say." Girish, "Narendra says that God is infinite. We cannot even so much as say that the things or persons we perceive are parts of God. How can infinity have parts? It cannot." Master, "However great and infinite God may be, his essence can and does manifest itself through man by his mere will. God's incarnation as a man cannot be explained by analogy. One must feel it for oneself and realize it by direct perception. An analogy can give us only a little glimpse. By touching the horns, legs, or tail of a cow, we in fact touch the cow herself, but for us, the essential thing about a cow is her milk, which comes through the udder. The divine incarnation is like the udder. God incarnates himself as man from time to time in order to teach people devotion and divine love." Girish, "Narendra says, is it ever possible to know all of God? He is infinite." Master to Girish, "Who can comprehend everything about God? It is not given to man to know any aspect of God, great or small. And what need is there to know everything about God? It is enough if we only realize him, and we see God himself. But if we but see his incarnation. Suppose a person goes to the Ganga and touches its water. He will then say, 'Yes, I have seen and touched the Ganges.' To say this, it is not necessary for him to touch the whole length of the river, from Hardwar to Gangasagar." There was laughter. "If I touch your feet, surely that is the same as touching you." Laughter. "If a person goes to the ocean and touches but a little of its water, he has surely touched the ocean itself. Fire, as an element, exists in all things, but in wood it is present to a greater degree." Girish, smiling, "I'm looking for fire. Naturally, I want to go to a place where I can get it." Master, smiling, "Yes, fire as an element is more present in wood than in any other object. If you seek God, then seek him in man. He manifests himself more in man than in any other thing. If you see a man endowed with ecstatic love, overflowing with prema, mad after God, intoxicated with his love, then know for certain that God has incarnated himself through that man." To M, "There is no doubt that God exists in all things, but the manifestations of his power are different in different things. The greatest manifestation of his power is through an incarnation. Again, in some incarnations, there is a complete manifestation of God's power. It is the Shakti, the power of God, that is born as an incarnation." Girish, "Narendra says that God is beyond our words and thought." Master, "That is not altogether true. He is no doubt unknowable by this ordinary mind, but he can indeed be known by the pure mind. The mind and the intellect become pure the moment they are free from attachment to lust and greed. The pure mind and pure intellect are one and the same. God is known by the pure mind. Didn't the sages and seers of olden times see God? They realized the all-pervading consciousness by means of their inner consciousness. Girish with a smile. I defeated Narendra in the argument. Master, oh no. He said to me, when Girish Ghosh has so much faith in God's incarnation as a man, what can I say to him? It is not proper to meddle with such faith. Girish with a smile. Sir, we are very free and easy with our words, but M is sitting there with his lips shut tight. What in the world is passing through his mind? What do you say about it, sir? Master with a laugh. There is a common adage that tells people to beware of the following: a man with a loose tongue, a man whose mind cannot be fathomed, even by an expert diver, a man who sticks the sacred tulsi leaf in his ears as a sign of holiness, a woman wearing a long veil to proclaim her chastity, and the cold water of a reservoir covered with green scum, by bathing in which one gets typhoid fever. These are all dangerous things. With a smile. But it is different with him. He is a serious man. Everyone laughed. Chunilal. People have become to whisper about M's conduct. The younger Naren and Baburam are his students, as are Naren, Paltu, Purna, and Tejchandra. The rumor is that he brings these boys to you, and so they neglect their studies. The boys' guardians hold M responsible. Master, who would believe their words? They were thus talking when Naren entered the room and bowed low before the master. He was a student, 17 or 18 years old, and of fair complexion. He was dearly loved by the master, who was very eager to see the boy and feed him. Many a time at the temple garden at Dakshineshwar, the master wept silently for Naren. He looked on him as the manifestation of Narayana himself. Now remember, this is Swami Vivekananda. Girish at the sight of Naren. There. Who told him about this? Now we realize that M is at the root of all this mischief. All laugh. Master smiling. Stop. Hold your tongue. There is already an evil rumor about him. The conversation next turned to Narendra. A devotee, why doesn't he come to you so frequently nowadays? Master, quoting a proverb, man's worries over bread and butter are simply amazing. They make even Kalidas lose his wits. Balaram, Narendra frequently visits his friend Ananda Guha of the family of Shiva Guha. Now, at this time, Narendra had lost his father and the family was in terrific debt, so he was worried about finances. Master, yes, I've heard that too. Narendra and his friends meet at the house of a government officer and conduct meetings of the Brahmo Samaj. Devotee, the officer's name is Tarapada. Balaram smiling. The Brahmins say that Ananda Guha is a very egotistic man. Master, never listen to what the Brahmins say. You know their nature very well. If a man doesn't give them money, they will call him bad. On the other hand, if a man is generous to them, they will call him good. All laughed. I know Ananda. He is a good man. The drawing room was full of devotees. The master wanted to hear some songs. At his request, Tarapada sang about Krishna. O Keshava, bestow thy grace upon thy luckless servants here. O Keshava, who dost delight to roam Vrindavan's glades and groves. O Madhava, our mind's bewitcher, sweet one, who dost steal our hearts, sweetly playing on thy flute. Chant, O mind, the name of Hari. Sing aloud the name of Hari. Praise Lord Hari's name. O thou eternal youth of Braja, tamer of fierce Kaliya, slayer of the afflicted fear. Wait just one second. Slayer of the afflicted's fear. Beloved with the arching eyes and crest of the arching peacock feather, charmer of Sri Radha's heart. Govardhan's mighty lifter thou, all garlanded with sylvan flowers, O Damodara, Kamsa's scourge. O dark one, who dost sport in bliss with sweet Vrindavan's gopi maidens, chant, O name, O mind, the name of Hari. Sing aloud the name of Hari. Praise Lord Hari's name. Master to Girish. It's a beautiful song. Did you write it? A devotee. Yes, sir. He wrote all the songs for his play, the Chaitanya Leela. Master, this one has really hit the mark. As at Sri Ramakrishna's request, Tarapada sang 2 more songs. In the first, Nitai exhorts people to share Radha's love for Krishna. Come one and all, take Radha's love. The high tide of her love flows by. It will not last very long. Oh, come then. Come ye one and all, in countless streams it flows from her. As much as you desire is yours. Made all of love, she pours out love unstintingly for everyone. Her love intoxicates the heart with heavenly bliss and thrills the soul. O come and sing Lord Hari's name, drawn by her love. O come ye all. Next he sang about Gauranga. Who art thou, Gaur of the golden hue, that quenchest the thirst of my soul? Thou raisest a storm in the sea of love, and scarcely can I steady my boat. Once as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan, thou didst tend the cows. In thy hands thou heldest the flute that so bewitched the gopi maids. Lifting Govardhan's mount in thine arms, thou shieldest Vrindavan from ill, and at the wounded gopi's feet humbledest thyself in repentant love. The devotees pressed M to sing, but M was shy and asked them to, in a whisper, to excuse him. Girish to the master, Sir, we can't find a way to persuade M to sing. Master annoyed, Yes, he can bare his teeth at school, but shyness overpowers him when he is asked to sing. M, feeling greatly distressed, remained speechless. Suresh Mitra, beloved devotee, household disciple of the master, was seated at a distance. The master cast an affectionate glance at him and said to him, pointing to Girish, You talk of having lived a wild life, but here is one you could not surpass. Suresh with a smile, Yes, sir, he is my elder brother in that respect. Everyone laughed. Girish to the master, Well, sir, I didn't have any education during my boyhood, but still people say I'm a learned man. Master, Mahimacharan has studied many scriptures, a big man. To M, Isn't that so? M, Yes, sir. Girish, What? Book learning? I've seen enough of it. It can't fool me any more. Master, with a smile, Do you know my attitude? Books, scriptures, and things like that only point out the way to reach God. After finding the way, what more need is there of books and scriptures? Then comes the time for action. A man received a letter from home informing him that certain presents were to be sent to his relatives. The names of the articles were given in the letter. As he was about to go shopping for them, he found that the letter was missing. He began anxiously to search for it, several others joining in the search. For a long time they continued to search. When at last the letter was discovered, his joy knew no bounds. With great eagerness he opened the letter and read it. it said that he was to buy 5 seers of sweets, a piece of cloth, and a few other things. Then he did not need the letter anymore, for it had served its purpose. Putting it aside, he went out to buy the things. How long is such a letter necessary? As long as its contents are not known. When the contents are known, one proceeds to carry out the directions. In the scriptures, you will find the way to realize God. But after getting all the information about the path, you must begin to work. Only then can you attain your goal. What will it avail a man to have mere scholarship? A pundit may have studied many scriptures. He may recite many sacred texts. But if he is still attached to the world, and if inwardly he loves lust and greed, then he has not assimilated the contents of the scriptures. For such a man, the study of scriptures is futile. The almanac forecasts the rainfall for the year. You may squeeze the book, but you won't get a drop of water, not even a single drop. All laughed. And I think we'll stop there this evening. This conversation goes on quite a while. Any questions or comments about this last part that we have read? Okay. Tomorrow the lecture is Vedanta and Positive Psychology by Swami Medhananda. And next Wednesday we will continue with Glimpses of a Great Soul, the portrait of Swami Sardananda. And next Saturday is the 7th. The 7th we'll have Karma Yoga Day. Everyone come. 9:15 to the convent, and we'll have our jobs ready. We'll be getting, I think, ready for Holy Mother's Puja and Christmas. Doing some work heading for that, okay? You're all welcome. As I say, 9:15 at the convent, and then we'll all have lunch together after at 1. So everyone come and you're welcome. John, did you have a question?
Do I have to work on my birthday?
Yep. You have to work every day.
Short. I have a lot of people coming over to the house, so I'll be over there briefly.
You see, you'll be working because they'll be coming over.
Yeah.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll end. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Everyone have a good week, and we'll see you. Okay. Good to see you, Ganga. I hope the driving's going well. Good.